6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock, British Airways guilty of conspiracy and collusion.
The airline admits fixing ticket prices with Virgin Atlantic on long-haul flights.
BA lands a sky-high fine, a record
to British Airways.
Also on tonight's programme, caught on...
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the 6 o'clock news. Conspiracy and collusion, cartels and price fixing. As damning indictments go, they don't get much more serious than the charges made against British Airways today.
Yeah, the world's favourite airline has been fined a staggering £270 million for fixing ticket prices so that transatlantic passengers and businesses paid more than they should have.
British Airways admitted colluding with Virgin Atlantic over its fuel surcharges. Virgin escaped a fine because it blew the whistle on BA. Here's Hugh Pym.
For Britain's flag carrier airline, a day to forget. First of individual executives.
Well, Hugh's outside British Airways headquarters at Heathrow Airport for us this evening. Hugh, as you just said there, a day British Airways would want to forget. But what does this mean for passengers now?
Well, Natasha, here at BA's Ben Ando, BBC News at the Old Bailey.
A new case of television viewers being misled has come to light. ITV has admitted that a documentary which claimed to show the moment a man died from Alzheimer's disease does not actually do so. The filmmaker, who spent 11 years on the project, says he's been made a scapegoat and that ITV's publicity material is to blame. Nick Hyam has more.
Chris Langham denies all the charges against him.
All right, Matt, many thanks.
A record 30,000 junior doctors have taken up their new post today. There's been fears that with so many new
Taylor School on Merseyside.
birth certificates should show if a child has been conceived using donated sperm or eggs. That's according to a committee of MPs and peers who are looking at government proposals to update the law on fertility treatment and embryo research. Branwen Jeffries has more.
Branwen Jeffries, BBC News.
There have been more deaths among coalition forces in Iraq today. A British soldier has been killed in Basra and 4 Americans have died in Baghdad.
Their deaths came on the day that America's Vice President Dick Cheney insisted that the increase in US forces there, or surge, is improving the security situation.
But is that how soldiers on the ground are seeing it? Well, our correspondent in Iraq, Nicholas Witchell, has visited American troops just south of Baghdad to see what they think.
Nicholas Witchell, BBC News, at Combat Outpost Cleary in Iraq.
Time check for you, it's 6:15 exactly.
And our top story tonight, British Airways has... Now, there was a time when South Wales was synonymous with mining, and this was a common sight. Across the region, there are around 200 pits employing 2,000 people. All but one have closed over the last 3 decades.
Now it's been joined by the Unity mine in the Neath Valley, which has just reopened. As Wira Davis tells us, it's expected to produce up to 1 million tonnes of coal a year for the next 25 years.
BBC News in the Neath Valley.
Now, an extraordinary story for you, and a patient with a severe head injury has had revolutionary treatment to jump-start his brain. American scientists have used a technique called deep brain stimulation.
Yes, and as a result, the patient's now regained the ability to speak and perform simple tasks. Well, Christine McGurty is here with the details. Christine.
Ben, this case, we've had very little of that until now.
Absolutely amazing. Thanks, Christine.
Now, if you're selling a house with 4 or more bedrooms anywhere in England and Wales, then from today you'll need to get a home information pack. It'll cost you between £400 and £700, but will it put people off selling in the first place? Here's Richard Scott.
So the home information pack revolution. Richard Scott, BBC News, Maidstone.
Now then, this was the scene at Brownsea Island in Dorset. 100 years ago, it was the birth of the Scouting movement, launched by Robert Baden-Powell.
And this was a scene in Chelmsford today, where thousands of scouts from around the world gathered to mark the anniversary to renew their promise to do their best. That's how it goes, isn't it? Robert Hall is there.
I'll be back at Helpers next time. Back to you.
All right, Robert, many thanks.
Now, today is the day Zoe Chambers' family have been waiting for. The little girl who had a heart transplant just 5 weeks ago has left hospital and gone home.
Yeah, Zoe, who was placed at the top of the European heart transplant list, underwent a 10-hour operation after a donor organ was found. Well, Danny Savage has been following her remarkable story.
This was Zoe Chambers in June, weak, unable to fight off infection after infection and being kept alive. Danny Savage, BBC News, Newcastle.
What an extraordinary gift.
Time to take a look at the weather now with Jay Wynn.
Thanks, Ben. Well, it was a warm day for most of us today, 6 degrees, and that is 79 Fahrenheit.
OK, Jay, many thanks.
That's it from us. Have a good evening. Now for the news where you are. Good night. Surrounding a documentary about a patient with Alzheimer's. Publicity material promoting the programme suggested that it had shown the patient at the moment of death, but in fact it hadn't at all. This is the latest controversy to affect broadcasters about standards in television, as Nick Hyam reports.
When the BBC's documentary on the Queen was also accused of misleading viewers in pursuit of publicity. Nick Hyam, BBC News.
Channel 4 is to ban almost all of its phone-in competitions after the broadcaster said public trust had been severely undermined. It also admitted that problems with a quiz on Richard and Judy go back to June 2004, 2 years earlier than previously thought. The only one to remain will be Deal or No Deal, where a share of the profits go to charity. Birth certificates in the future could indicate if someone was conceived using donated sperm or eggs. The information would be recorded on the document and is one of a number of recommendations from a group of MPs and peers. They're looking at government plans to shake up fertility laws. Here's our health correspondent, Branwen Jeffries.
Branwen Jeffries, BBC News.
Coming up on tonight's programme, the day the parents of a very special little girl have been waiting for. A BBC investigation has uncovered evidence of Polish women in the UK being recruited to take part in bogus weddings to get round immigration rules. Because Poland is in the EU, marriage to a Polish bride gives immigrants the right to live and work here. The immigration agency told the BBC it had made good progress in cracking down on sham marriages and would target any new areas where it occurred. Liz McKean has this report.
Undercover reporters investigating in BBC News.
And you can see that report in full on Newsnight on BBC Two after the news. 50 people were killed today in a truck bomb attack in Baghdad. 4 American soldiers also died in a separate incident. This came on the day the US Vice President Dick Cheney said that putting more troops into the area was improving the security situation. But what do soldiers on the ground think? Well, our correspondent in Iraq, Nicholas Witchell, visited American troops just south of Baghdad.
At combat outpost Cleary in Iraq.
Dramatic footage of the moment Britain's biggest cash robbery took place has been shown to a jury for the first time. One of the gang, dressed as a policeman, clearly aimed a gun as he made workers lie on the floor. They were held as the group stole £53 million from the Securitas cash depot at Tonbridge in Kent last February. 8 people are on trial at the Old Bailey. They all deny the charges. £30 million of the stolen money has still not been recovered. Now, from today, people selling homes with 4 bedrooms or more in England and Wales will have to pay for a home information pack. The aim is to cut the number of deals that fall through. The highly controversial scheme, delayed from June, will cost homeowners around £500. Here's Richard Scott to explain more.
Well, Natasha, the home information pack extended to all homes, but so far the government hasn't said when that will be. Natasha.
Thank you very much. Now, today is the day Zoe Chambers' family have been waiting for. The 19-month-old girl who had a heart transplant just 5 weeks ago has left hospital and gone home. Zoe, who was placed at the top of the European heart transplant list, had a 10-hour operation after a donor organ was found. Danny Savage has been following her story.
Home. Danny Savage, BBC News, Newcastle.
The 10 o'clock news hour continues on BBC News 24 and on BBC One. I'll be back with the headlines after we've joined the news teams where you are. Bye-bye for now. Tonight's main news again. British Airways has been fined a record £270 million for illegally fixing the price of fuel surcharges on flights. The penalties are imposed by regulators in the United Kingdom and in the United States. And controversial plans for a new home for military families close to an army rehabilitation centre in Surrey have been approved tonight. Local residents had opposed the building. Newsnight is starting on BBC Two, but from all of us on the 10 o'clock news team, it's a very good night. Bye-bye.
Hello there, good evening. We've had another pretty decent day weather-wise across the UK today with some long spells of sunshine on offer. Tomorrow though, I think it will be a slightly different story. There is going to be more in the way of cloud around, and for many of us there's also going to be a chance of getting caught in the rain at some stage as well. Now, throughout the course of the last few days, we've been very slowly watching this weather front here pushing its way southeastwards across the UK. And as it's been heading southeastwards, it's also been weakening. We've been losing a lot of the rain in association with it. But overnight tonight, what we will see actually, I think, is things pepping up for a time. So for the Midlands and parts of Wales, we could see some moderate rain during the course of the night. Elsewhere, a little bit more cloud around than we've been used to as well. Some scattered showers for northern Scotland. But thanks to that increased amount of cloud, at least we're looking at a milder night than we have had in the last few. Our weather front, though, will mean a very different start to the day to that we've seen in the last couple of days for the Midlands. Thursday morning rush hour, a grey and damp affair. Get to the north of the weather front, though, and things are drier and brighter across northern England. Some early morning sunshine possible for the east of Scotland too, but much of Scotland fairly overcast, and there will be some showers at times in the north and west. A few showers also possible for Northern Ireland, and generally some fairly solid cloud here. Certainly Wales's skies looking very solemn. We'll see rain at times too as our weather front trails back into the southwest of England. We could even see a few heavier bursts here coming in across the moors. For the best of the early morning sunshine, the place to be will be the southeast of England and East Anglia, but this in itself is somewhat of a false start to the day, because really as the hours go by, it is pretty much all changed. What we'll see is our weather front here tucking its way into East Anglia and the southeast to finish off the day, and it could bring some quite sharp outbreaks of rain along with it at times, whereas elsewhere things will tend to brighten up. We'll still keep a few showers for Scotland and Northern Ireland, but we'll see an increasing number of sunny spells, and certainly Wales and the southwest of England will get a lot brighter. Our temperatures ranging from the high teens to the low 20s. Now on to Friday, and East Anglia and the southeast become drier and brighter once again. Our weather front clears away, but we see another low moving into the northwest of the UK, so that brings a wet and windy end to the week for Scotland and Northern Ireland, and this low here is going to hang around on into the weekend, so a more unsettled story for the northern half of the weekend, northern half of the UK for the weekend. For Saturday and Sunday, a risk of some rain. Further south, a lot of dry and sunny weather, but as temperatures warm up on Sunday, it could all go bang. To stay up to date with that, while I head to BBCI, I'll take a look around on our website.
Courtroom in Scotland with Susan Powell.
Hello there. Wednesday brought a decent dose of sunshine to the majority of the UK once again. For Thursday, though, I think it is going to be a different story. There will be more cloud around, and for many of us, there'll also be a chance of getting caught in the rain at some stage. And so far in the last few days, we've been just watching this weather front here very slowly pushing its way southeastwards across the UK. It's still going, and I think in the next few hours we could see it pepping up a little bit as well. So far we've been watching the rain along it fizzle out, but into the small hours of Thursday it will get a little more lively, and we could see some more